All right, this is going to be a video for your Chapter 5 assignment, and I'm gonna kind of get it started, but you're gonna have to finish it. What I'm going to do is show you how to put it together, and we're going to actually use the type of programming that your book gives you for the video store assignment, and that is the idea of inheriting from a linked list and creating something like from your book is called a customer list type. I'm just gonna call it customer list, and you can actually use this in your project and kind of take it and create an account list, a transaction list from it. So this is pretty much quite a bit of your project, and you can decide to go in two directions. You can go in your books method using the video store list, but you'd have to modify that to save and load from binary. And you don't really need dynamic binding for your linked list. The only thing in your project that you need dynamic binding for is when you actually process money of any kind. So the linked list doesn't need dynamic binding. It's just going to store the information. But when you actually go to process money from an account, that's where you would need dynamic binding for security, because it makes it harder to crack the executables and edit it like you would, editing a game executable if you wish. So we're going to actually take the video that I did in Chapter 4, the binary and input, that video, the code that you come up with from that video, and we're going to combine it with the 3 videos that I built on linked lists. And I'm going to use the code that I developed during those videos. It looks like this is the old Chapter 5. Let me go ahead and close this, and we'll go to the actual Chapter 5 that I'm talking about, and that's going to be right here, Chapter 5 homework assignments. So this is the 3 videos that you would want to get to complete to be able to combine them together today and get a starter on your Chapter 5 homework assignment, which I've modified because of the issues with the video store programming. And actually I have to do this every quarter because the video store program is, the way they do their code, they get a little too cute and complicated, and it does not need to be near what it is. And in fact, they don't do anything in line the way they should do with a utility program. They do implementation files when something should be inline and just in the header file, which is a lot of what a lot of your toolboxes. You don't include a CPP file to use iostream.h. So we're building a utility here, so it should be all in one file and inline functions in the header file, just the same way that I showed you how to build a linked list in these videos. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to watch these videos, complete the code in here, and then you're going to want to also watch this video, complete the code there, and then you're going to come together and you're going to combine those 2 pieces of code, and you should have this linked list and binary set up. This is the binary input output, and this is the linked list that I developed in those videos. So I'm going to actually put those together, and I'm going to create a whole another project called CustomerList. And this is kind of the direction you would go to for your Chapter 5 assignment. And incidentally, it would be kind of your first step in starting, either rebuilding your project or changing your project. It would be your first step. Now, an example of dynamic binding is in that same diff v2, where you can, instead of inheriting from vector, you can just modify that to inherit from the linked list, and that code should be able to be used without too much playing around. So that same diff bank v2 is an example of how to do that dynamic binding. But we won't need to do it at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and start a project here, and I'm going to call this customer list. And of course, I like to put things on the desktop, so we'll do that. And then it'll go create. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab the code from those two projects from those videos, and we're going to add them to this project. So I'm going to go here to add. Actually, you know what? First, we need to copy the files, and we got two mains. That's fine. We'll deal with that. We got customer.h. I think the customer.h in binary is maybe better, but actually, let's open it up real quick and see. I think they might be actually the same thing. Yeah, they're the same thing. So we'll just one or the other. So we'll do from this linked list, we'll copy these three files, main, linked list.h, and customer.h. And we'll put that into our customer list folder, which is our new project. And you're going to want to put them in with your project file. And then the only thing we need from the binary input-output is probably the data.dat. We'll put that in there. And remember, you got to duplicate that and put it in the debug section. We will take, it looks like we need main, but I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to rename this, let's see, this is because it just contains the functions. That's all we need, because we're going to implement the functions. So actually, when I drag it over here, should it be replaced, or no. We're just going to, let's put it out here. Let's copy it and rename it, and then put it in there. This is going to be save, paste, rename, load save. And in fact, we don't need to add that into our project. We just need linked list, customer.h, and the main for our customer list. So we'll just go ahead. I'll throw it in here, but we're not going to add it to our project. We're going to just take the functions that are in there. So it'll just be something that you can delete later on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into my new project that I just created. It looks like the load save is already in there, just open, but it's not part of the project, which is totally fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the main and the utility files, such as the linked list.h, and the main, of course, linked list.h, and customer.h. I'm going to add those. And the main we're going to change around a little bit. Eventually we're going to, this is going to need to be gone, but we have linked list.h and customer.h. These guys we don't need actually here. We're going to cut these guys out, and what we're going to do is we're going to put them in a new file that we're going to create, and it's going to be called customer list. And that's where we're going to actually inherit from the linked list. And the reason why you want to do that is because you have more power over it. And, instead of having to do overloads where you have special things like print and having to do a print function, because we are using templates here and we don't know what data type we're actually storing in here, with a thing like a customer list object that inherits from a linked list, we can tell it that it has a customer, and we can actually have direct access to everything in our linked list because we inherit from it. Everything that's public, of course. Private, we don't have access to, but we don't need that access. And the way your book does it is just totally screwy, and we want to be inside and in line with these functions actually inside the object. So we've got the get at function, the remove at function. I'm going to pause those there for you since I didn't kind of cover too much on how to do that. I left that to you guys to explore. So now what we're going to do is create that new file called customerlist.h. And that's going to be our actual utility that then uses linked list, but it declares that what we're going to put for the data type in linked list as a customer. And that way you don't have issues with the templates, and you can have more, basically more, authority over the linked list templated file because you're inheriting from it. and you can make it fairly customizable. And then also what's nice is once you get your customer list done, then you can add what's called your account list and your transaction list. So basically your whole project kind of stems from here. That is, depending on how well you did last quarter. So a lot of this course is kind of, how should it look? And then, by the end, we'll have this, we'll be using binary trees for our memory. So we'll be having videos on how to create a binary tree and whatnot. So I need to actually add a new item. And new item. And it's going to be just a header file, so we're going to keep it as a utility. And this will be customer list. And you can create another one just like this called an account list. So we're going to create a customer list. What? It's saying I already have one. Oh, it's the name. Okay, so let's just take from your book. Let's call it customer list type. That's fine. Customer list type header file, because I call the project customer list, so of course it's not going to let me do that. So you can have an account list type too. Okay, so let's add that, and there's our customer list type, and it's going to include the includes for linked list.h and customer.h, and all we need in main now is customer list type. .h. Okay, so this actually is going to go away. We're gonna put this somewhere else just for testing. So in our customer list type, what it's going to do is it's going to be a class that inherits from your linked list, but we're going to tell it what class T is. We're going to say that that the template is going to be a customer, and that's why we need to include the customer header in our customer list type. And of course we're inheriting from linked list, so we got to include that too. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say class customer list type, and it's going to inherit, and you want to make sure you do public inheritance. It's going to inherit from linked list. Nice and easy. Let's see if we have that right. Let's go to linked list. Okay, so this is where we tie the customer object to our list type. And this is, you would actually do account here if you're doing account type, but we're doing customers. So that is where that goes. And voila, so much nicer and easier than that nightmare of the book code. So now we're kind of ready to use our list. It's already been built, and we've told it that it's storing customers. And what's the beauty of this is that you can actually build a save and load and a change function in here for your binary file, and it can all come from the linked list, and you can make it customized for customer, but you have all the power of being inside the scope of your linked list because you're inheriting from it. If you did not do things this way, you would actually have to do a lot of operator overloading to be able to tell. So one example, if we go in here and we go down here to the print, if we were just to do a cout of the temp get data, we would have to tell it how to output a customer that's stored in here, because it doesn't know how to output a variable that's generic called T, because in the linked list code itself, it doesn't know what type it's actually working with, which is why I actually just added a print function to every customer so that it can handle that. So if you look in the customer, it's just another way around that issue. We got the print. So you're going to notice here that I'm using char arrays and not strings. You cannot use strings for binary files. Okay, so of course you're going to be adding more stuff here for this as you for your customers and your project. So now let's go ahead and go back to the customer list type, and this is where we're going to actually put our utility functions, which is going to be our load and save. Now we already got everything we need here The only thing that we don't have is the using namespace and the fstream and the IL stream. We've already built everything. It's ready to go. The only thing that we need to do is change a few things on the count. So the count is going to be determined by the file header or how many things that you've added. So the count is actually going to come from the linked list now. So that's going to change. And let's see here. What's the next step we do? Oh, I got to put the header stuff in. Okay, so this is going to go in, and we got the pragma once there, so we're doing good. The only thing we need to remove and move around is this guy, and we need to put the namespace down here. Okay. There we go. We're actually ready. I mean, because we already built it, right? So all we need to do is put the functions in there and make a few changes. And there's going to be some portions of this that I'm going to have you guys finish. I'm not going to do all of it. So I'm going to take this and just copy it. And we're going to go to, this is our edit record, our write file, read file. It's all done for a customer. So when you do an account list, all you got to do is take the customer list type and copy it, rename it account list type, and change everything for the account. And then you'll do the same thing for transactions. So it really all starts here. So let's go to the customer list, and we'll paste in these functions that we built from the Chapter 4 homework video. And count is no longer going to be equal to 5. That's going to be based on this. Since we inherit from a linked list, we have the count of the linked list. But it looks like I might have made it private in the linked list. So we actually need to build an accessor for the get count. So what we'll do is we'll do this. We got to build a function to get count and the linked list. And now all it's going to do is return count. And then we're going to build a function to set count. And that's for loading. Because when you load it in the linked list, you're going to first get how big it is. Actually, you don't need to actually set count because you just add to the list. So we don't really need a mutator function in here. We just need the get count. That's all we need. Because whenever we add, count goes up by ++. So when we're reading from a file, we're going to do adds here. Okay. So now we go back to here, and now we have the function to say this get count. Okay, now for our write file, we send it the file name, we get the count, we do our binary, we can actually, we don't need to actually put that in there. This is good, we output the count, there's the header on our file. Then this looks like it's just doing a set ID. We don't need that because this is something that's going to come from the actual linked list. So this we actually have to modify. We got to modify this to work instead of a loop. It's going to work like our list traversal. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to our print function in our linked list, and we're just going to grab a hold of that code and use it. So we'll go down here to our linked list, go down to our print function, and this is basically our example of how to traverse a list, and this is what we're going to use for writing to the list, and we're just going to modify things a little bit. So we put this guy in there, and now we're no longer going to essentially we're no longer going to print. We're going to get rid of this guy. We may come back to that in a little bit, but the first thing we need to add an accessor for the head, and then this needs to be customer. And the head we need to add an accessor to, just much the same as our get node, set node, in our node. So we're going to add an accessor for the head. And you know what? I think we could go protected actually and have direct access to it. I think we should just go protected here. Let's see if we can get access that way, and that way we wouldn't have to do accessors. Nice. I love inheritance. Okay, so we don't need to build accessors for it. All right, because we inherited, so it's ours. That's the power of being able to work with this, and that's why we want to do this type of architecture. Essentially, is it allows us to do this type of stuff. Protected means that an inherited class has access to a member, but nothing else. Anything out of scope doesn't. Only inherited members. But private doesn't work that way. Private means that it's totally doesn't have access. So protected is kind of like the middle, in between, so that it's totally acceptable to do. And now we create a temp, and we say, well, temp is not equal to 0. Now, this is interesting. I'm wondering why this error is coming up. Okay, so node customer temp. Oh, okay. This should work because this is just a pointer that we're dealing with. Okay, I'm going to pause real quick and kind of play around with this, and I'll give you the solution, and we'll continue with the video. Yeah, typical of me. I got a little ahead of myself, and it looks like I'm creating a temp here and a temp here. So solution, very simple. Just get rid of this. It should be a pointer. It's a reference. So of course, yeah, it goes away. So here's what we want to do. We want to just basically, we want to make sure that we can traverse the list here first. And then what you do is you will then convert, instead of printing, you're going to write to the file. So that's I'm going to leave that to you guys. So we're going to actually just print it, and you guys can add this, right? So instead of this line, you'll have this line. It's not a big deal. You guys can test that and play around with it. Let's see. And then we got our load. Our load is going to work a little bit differently. And it's going to be pretty much close to the way it is now, except for it's not going to be a for loop. Actually, it can be a for loop. We can, you know what, we can just do this. We can read from the file. We get the counter. We read from the file, and temp is brought in, and this is where we do a this, and you know what, I'll just write it for you. This add front or add rear will work just fine of temp. Okay, I think that's good. Probably doesn't need anything more. We get the count. We go to count from the header. We know what count is from the header, and we read in the information. And for however many items are in the file, we read it in, and then we add it to the rear of our list, our customer list. And what's nice about this is because we declared that we're storing customer here, so we got everything ready to go and take type T of customer. So now we can do an edit record. So it looks like, you know what? Nothing needs to be changed in here. Wow, awesome. We're good. The only thing that you need to add now would be, and you don't have to do it for this assignment or for this part of your project, I don't think, is a void sort. And what's nice about this is since you know you're sorting customers, you don't need to overload operators. And once you build the sort for this, it'll work with a little bit of finesse for your account list and your transaction list. So you're going to want to study this and kind of play around with it and work with it. So now we have our customer list type that inherits from a linked list. From previous code that we built for the customer, we can write file, we can read a file, we can edit a record. Most of all the things that you need to be able to do for your project. I don't think I need to make any other changes other than adding a sort. That you can do, or you can just inherit from a priority queue. There's some example code in there for that, I think in module 10. But I think we're ready to test. So this can go away, and you guys can take and test this. But one thing that we need to test it is probably a menu system. So you're going to have to add a menu system. But this is not part of our project, so we can just copy this example and kind of get away with and throw it away. So now we'll go back to main, and we'll put this stuff in here. And you're going to want to write the file first. Write the file and get that right working. I think it's, you want to use linked list.write file. Did I spell everything right? Oh, duh. Customer list. Customer list type dot. It's customer list type. Oh, there's where we're messing up. This needs to turn into customer list type, and we don't need to send it customer because it already knows it. So this is kind of what you will have in your main for your menu system. You'll have a customer list type called customer list, and it can go right on stack because everything else will go on the heap, of course. So now we can do, we can actually just fill it up with some data, customer list, and we can do a, what we're going to do is we're going to do a customer list.save. And that will print it, because right now in the customer list I'm actually just printing. I'm not actually writing the data. So you'll add this line in there. So print will just output what we need, and we should have this all as public. These are all just utility functions. So there's no data being stored, and the data that's being stored is protected or private. So it should be okay. Cool. We're ready to give it a whirl. We don't need to do anything in here. We don't need to do anything here. We're good. Now we have the ability to save here. But of course, you're going to add to that. I think it's write. Is it write? Yeah, write file, and we're going to say data.dat. And the write, remember, will create the file if it doesn't exist, or override it if it does. And then you'll have the ability to read the file. Customer list.read file. And you can also do a customer list.edit record. So what I want you to do is I want you to actually add a menu here. And I want the menu to be able to, so your tasks are going to be add menu, and instead of generating customers like I'm doing here, I want you to add a menu to add a customer. Number one, add customer, and save list. So this is kind of the way I like to do things in a lot of ways. When you add a customer, what I do is I just save the whole list. And when the program starts, load list. You load the customer list. And then you have all the customers that are in the file on the list. And as soon as you do add a new customer, you add the new customer, and then you save the list. Then you're going to put in, let's see, we're not really to remove customer or anything like that. But that's stuff that you're going to want to do. So this is going to be, and then you can also test the edit customer. But you're going to do add customer and print customers. And that's pretty much all you need, because the load automatically loads up the list. And when you add a customer, you're adding a customer to the current loaded list. And as soon as you add a customer, you save the list. And then you stop the program, and you don't need to do anything for the exit, because every time that you change your random access memory in RAM, when you add a customer, you automatically overwrite the whole list. It makes things so much nicer. But back in the old days, you would actually want to use the whole the file itself as your RAM, so you wouldn't necessarily do things this way. But we've got the RAM. Why not? But if you were building a true banking system, you wouldn't do things this way. You would use the file as a database instead, and you would actually append. You would modify the count. If you're for a real banking system, would open file, modified count, and append customer. And then when you print customers, it would load file and print. So you would use the file as your RAM. You wouldn't use RAM as your RAM. So you would do things a little bit differently for a true banking system. But then again, at the same time, you would probably most likely use some kind of commercial database that's been foolproofed that a bank would buy. But this is kind of an example of how to build your own database. And it's experience that you need, because essentially this is how you build databases. Is you do seekg, puts, and use the file pointers and whatnot. And that's what a database is. It's just an executable that writes information to a file with binary, and it does it by being able to move around the file and not have to rewrite the whole file or load the whole file. So this stuff you're not going to actually be able to get working yet. You're going to have to get the write file done first. That means you're actually going to have to generate some customers, then write a file. Then what you do is what you'll do is you'll do this. You'll generate the customers, fix the write file, generate the customers, write to a file, and then from there on out, you already have customers, so you no longer generate. You then read the file, and then the menu will pop up because you'll already have the data in the file. So I don't think there's much more to it than that. But you got to generate the file first by adding some customers. So you actually might want to add customers through cout and cn, and not generate them like I did here. And like get some true customer input and output, like first name, last name, assign them an ID through like maybe an auto number type sequence with if you want to come up with your own numbering scheme or something like that. Okay, so basically we're gonna test this right now, and the only thing I'm gonna test before I turn it over to you is just to make sure that we can print our customers, and that is because the write file is not going to actually write to a file. Right now we just got it so it's printing, and if that works, that's the first step that you go into before you actually start saving to disk. I like to say have your memory, show your memory. That's basically you create your memory, you fill your memory, you print your memory, and then you're ready to save your memory to disk and make it persistent. I like to call this a customer list type is customer persistent customers. And this is kind of the way I like to build things. It kind of goes along with the way your book is showing things. The example that this does not include is dynamic binding, which you can get from that same diff bank v2. And if we may have another video on that as we progress. I do know that I need to do a recursion video pretty soon here. So let's just test to make sure this works. And if it does, I'm going to turn it over to you. Okay. Looks like we're good. Now, the only issue here is we've actually created a memory leak. So what we should be doing is before we exit, when we exit, delete list. You got to delete the list when you exit. So you could do something like this. What we could do is we could put in the deconstructor of the customer list type, we could put a for loop in there and just do add remove front for count. So what we can do here is let's go ahead and put a constructor customer list type, and actually it should be a deconstructor in the linked list. We shouldn't put it here. We should put it in the linked list. So let's go back to the linked list and I'll show you how to fix that memory leak issue. Because you're able to, whenever you add or change the memory, you're overwriting all the memory on the disk. You can just delete all the memory through your deconstructor for your linked list. Here's our constructor. Let's go ahead and do a deconstructor. I believe it's tilde linked list, and we do just literally we do a I think maybe I did the deconstructor wrong. Yeah, got the wrong character in there. For I 0 to count, this remove front. Remove front would probably be the one that would be I would use. And then that will give us, and if we run without any errors with that, then we know we don't have any memory leaks, and we should be good. So let's go ahead and run this. Okay, no issues with memory leaks. It's good to go. So that's kind of the culmination of those 4 videos that I provided for you. It took me a little time to get through them all, but as I said, that once you get this chapter 5 stuff done, which whatever direction you go, you're more than halfway done with, because literally your customer list type you just make now into you take that customer list and you make it into your account list type, and then you also add your transaction list type. So you just make it so that you have now you build those from the customer list, and you put in here your account list type, your transaction list type, and you're ready to roll. And the next thing you need to do is pretty much add a sort method to these guys. I believe your transactions, though, those should be in a priority queue. So no, you won't do that. You'll do a priority queue for that. And I actually got a working priority queue example, I think, in Module 10 for you. Okay, guys, send me some emails on some video requests if you got any. I think this will get you ready and caught up for give you a good start for the rest of the quarter. Let me know if this write file thing has issues. I'm pretty sure it should work for you. Thank you. Goodbye.